to Miss Martin Muses and Midweek Musings. We have made it to the midweek. Everyone, please give yourself a pat on the back because life kind of sucks. And happy St. Joseph's Day to everyone. Yay! So let's all just have some celebration of Italian culture because everyone knows he was Italian. But in any case, welcome to everyone that is watching now and that will be watching back in. This is Open Musing. So, about what would you like to muse? Please let me know. Hello, Adega Outlaw. I'm going to put this banner up and I hope you're having a good midweek. Yes, we do have the hump day. Yes, we endorse hump day here at Miss Martin Muses and getting through the week. Now, if you're following along with my schedule that I do for the week, today is washing Wednesday. So everyone should be washing all their clothes and running their dishwasher or unloading their dishwasher or taking care of all those dishes that you have in the sink. So do so. It will make you happy and it will make your house clean or cleaner. If you're one of those people that is very fastidious about that kind of thing. So how you doing, Adega Outlaw? What's going on in your life? Not much excitement here. I have a few things to do today. I've got, of course, Pilates and some chores. Obviously, I have my washing to do. And then I'm reading. I'm reading The Wheel of Time, and everyone should read The Wheel of Time. Don't watch The Wheels of Prime, which is not a representation at all of the story that Robert Jordan wrote and left us. I am on book 5 right now. It has been so much fun and so good. Oh, Adega Outlaw says, just doing my usual. Well, that's good. Well, I have a cup of coffee here, and it is that chocolate cherry flavored coffee, which I'm sure some people find disgusting, but I rather like it. I got it. Why did I get it? I think my dad got it or something. I don't know. So I tried it over there. So I got some for myself because it's very good. But in any case, so that's what's on my mind. I think that we're having the Snow White stuff coming up. Looks like ticket sales are not what are expected, but I think we knew this when they started to pare down the premieres and some of their publicity for it. And it's just going to be such a disaster. Even if we didn't have the Rachel Zegler messing everything up, if we didn't have Peter Dinklage messing everything up, it still would have been a problem because just looking at the movie, it's just awful. It's just awful. One could argue, though, that since the moment that they cast Rachel Zegler, that they were in trouble because she doesn't really draw people to the cinema. She has not had one hit yet, but she somehow gets these big roles. Maybe it went to her head. I don't know. Will she be box office poison after this? What do you think? You think so? I don't know. Now, I've been seeing all over the internet people posting the ticket availability in their city. I'm not entirely sure about that because you can kind of cherry pick different screenshots if you want to and make them say what you want or different times. On the other hand, it's enough. It really is enough to make me think that there's a pattern because a big Disney release like this should have a lot more being filled no matter where you are. So I think that is maybe a problem. Okay, I guess I just talked out of both sides of my mouth, but sometimes you just don't know because you don't know how many people are going to get them at the last minute. But definitely this is showing that people are not planning their lives around Snow White. Now, I might argue a tiny bit, and only a tiny bit, that this kind of movie, this kind of release, this kind of going to the cinema is so outdated. Someone pointed that out with that Mickey 17 or whatever that movie is with Robert Pattinson, that what's going on is people know that it's going to be going to streaming really soon, so they'll just go to their home entertainment or just buy it on Disney Plus or buy it on some sort of streaming. If you just are patient and you wait, maybe you might have to pay $20. But if you think about it, $20 for the whole family and friends is a hell of a lot cheaper than paying $20 a person for it. So cinema is kind of dying in any case. I'm really curious now. Maybe I should look at my local cinema and see if anyone is doing it. It is Soul Assassin. Hello, Soul Assassin. Stopping to say good morning while on my way to work. Well, thank you very much, and I hope work doesn't suck today. It is Snortapoopus Cooper. Yay! Thank you for being here. We love our animals here at Miss Martin Muses. So, if you have been looking at your local cinema, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong or prove me right. Either one is fine. I do recall when Solo came out, there were a lot of those kind of pictures, and it turned out to be true. The one ticket sold or just only a few tickets sold for a Star Wars movie, that was unheard of at the time. And then Solo did end up being a flop. But of course, I could have told you that was going to be a flop before it even started. A young Han Solo movie, first of all, why? Second of all, without Harrison Ford. Third of all the disasters that came along with it. They really believed, like a lot of people believe about fantasy, that, oh, all you have to do is just throw in a character. Oh, people know Han Solo. They'll just come see it, even if it's crap. It's like, no, people wanted to go see Han Solo. People talked about Han Solo because he was a great character, because we loved him, because the movies were great, all of that jazz. You just can't put in, this is Han Solo, and then people are going to go, oh, we like Han Solo. No, fantasy consumers are far more sophisticated than that, but I should also add, so are the average people. It's like, come on. They're guilty of their own hubris. Yes, they are, precious. So I've been talking about that a lot, about how fantasy people, or rather, a lot of people don't understand fantasy. They just think you have to throw in a few dragons. Well, look at what happened at the ending of Game of Thrones TV series. They weren't able to replicate the story. Now, one thing is because George R. R. Martin didn't finish the books, and that is his fault. But also, it's like, okay, we'll just throw in a bunch of deaths and some dragons, and people will be happy. It's like, no. And then they had the nerve to gaslight us into saying, oh, we foreshadowed it all along. It's like, no, you didn't. Shut up. So in any case, alrighty. Well, I do have something kind of prepared here. I promised y'all a little bit of this. So let's do it. Talking about some of the job issues. We're going to look at some numbers. I wanted to go ahead and do this because it's going to be a bit dated pretty soon. But this has to do with what's going on with tech journals. This is the Wall Street Journal. A Dig Outlaw says, I had to make things as original as possible. The world needs a new idea. That's true. Well, you can have dragons, you can have those things, but if you don't have a story, if you don't have something compelling, some world building, that's the problem. People just misunderstand. Rings of Prime is such a great example that they thought, oh, we just have to say Galadriel and oh, Gandalf and have hobbits looking things and people will just watch it. It's like, no, we need a story. Forget that. Tolkien wrote an amazing, fantastic, and unbelievable story. All right, so here we go. This is from the Wall Street Journal. IT unemployment rises to 5.7% as AI tech hits job. Now, I have a little bit of a problem with the headline. I think part of it is AI, but there is more to it going on. I think that what we're looking at with some of these job losses, it's, well, you'll see when I get more into this, but I feel like this is something that we need to have on our radar because we know that there are people out there that just can't get jobs, and it's more than oh, we can't find Americans to do these jobs. What is going on right now that's causing some of our problems, and something that is very concerning to me. I do have a concern about this. I am in no way trying to be a Debbie Downer, but we do have to face a little bit of reality on this. I'm going to do a little bit of full disclosure. I am not an official economist. That my degrees are my two major ones are history and history and music. I focus on world civilization. What is it? World civilization, United States history, political science, and anthropology and geography. That's what I'm qualified in. Those are the degrees and certifications that I have. Economics, not so much. So if anyone knows more about economics than I do, please feel free to jump in on some of my commentary. But I believe that my stuff is solid. All right. What does it say here? Oh, wait, I already read that. Hiya, Commander. Yeah, saying hi to Commander. Commander, who's the commander? Am I going to sound really ignorant? See, Dragons are just irritable lizards with heartburn, says Snortopoopscooper. Well, you would know. You would know. You've probably tried to eat them. All right. So, even though you might look, for example, a person might look at unemployment rates and be like, oh, but there is only this kind of unemployment. Well, in different sectors, it's different. So, we're looking at 5.7%. And IT, STEM, all these things makes a huge part up of the economy, rather of people who are qualified and people who have or had jobs. So check this out. The number of unemployed IT workers rose from 98,000 in December to 152,000 last month. That's big. So this is the amount of unemployed people we had from December, which is pretty high, but that's nearly 100,000. Now we're up to 52,000. There were a lot of layoffs in January. So we already had a lot of layoffs. Adega Outlaw says it happens faster and faster. Once the blacksmiths had to learn to work in factories as came into existence. Workers now need to be extremely flexible as tech changes so fast. Well, that is true. That is absolutely true. You do need to be flexible and you need to make yourself marketable. But when we're looking at these numbers, when we're looking at the number of people that are seeking jobs but can't get them, I've got a little bit of a conspiracy theory thing going on, or maybe it's even not conspiracy theory, but an unpleasant news about some of this. You cannot have this many unemployed people. This many people did not suck. And this many people did not suck for 30 years in some cases. People are getting laid off in their 50s. People are getting laid off in their 60s after having worked for companies for 3 decades. Something's going on. The commander is Snorty. Oh, you should see him in his human suit. Oh, of course. Smart Poopin says, no comment here. I took one course in economics in college and it didn't end well. Yeah. Okay. The unemployment rate in the information technology sector rose from 3.9% in December to 5.7% in January, well above last month's overall job rate of 4%, and the latest sign of how automation and increasing use of artificial intelligence are having a negative impact on the tech labor market. Yeah. Well, I think maybe what she's saying here is the fact that they are having AI, so they're getting rid of their workers because we're having mass layoffs. I know several people that have had this situation happen to them. They are very flexible, very open to working in any area, to learning, but they're not interested in that. They're not interested. Or maybe they're not interested in Americans doing it. All right. The number, we've already said this, statistic from 98,000 to 152,000 last month, according to this consulting firm. The latest IT job numbers come as unemployment among white-collar workers remains at its highest level since 2020, according to blah, blah, blah. So while we might have low unemployment or unemployment numbers, or while there might be a certain amount of jobs that are available, they are not necessarily white-collar jobs, and they are not necessarily full-time jobs. If you're 53, 55, you can't go back to making minimum wage at Chick-fil-A. Now, or then again, Chick-fil-A pays pretty well. And I'm not denigrating anyone that works at Chick-fil-A. More power to you. You're doing great. And I think that any job is a worthy job. However, white collar jobs are not available. So when people, I'm thinking of a few people in mind in my real life, say, well, there's plenty of jobs available. It's like, but are there jobs that are salaried? Are there jobs that are at a certain level? Are they white collar jobs? Are they jobs that you can even get? Because remember, in many cases, you can't hire somebody with a certain level of experience in years and pay them an entry level wage. I'm one of those people. Even if I said, fine, I'll take an entry level salary, you can't. It's very difficult. So anyway, so what do we have here? What we've seen, especially in the last year, is a bifurcation in opportunities where white collar knowledge worker type jobs have far less employer demand than jobs that are more in person skilled labor jobs. Yeah. So knowledge worker types have gone down and labor jobs, skilled labor jobs. And if I could go back in time to recommend people, I would recommend everyone go into a trade. Go to trade school, learn a trade. They're doing fantastic, and it's been awful that there's been a lot of snobbery around these kind of jobs that I think is very unfair. I might have at one time been part of that. I used to be part of the system, like, I'm talking a long time ago when I was drinking some of the Kool-Aid, the you gotta go to school, you gotta go to college to be successful. That's more of the way it was, of course, maybe in the past, but definitely not today. And of course, why did people look down on blue collar jobs, for crying out loud? And they make more money than most people anyways. So skilled later jobs are not necessarily, but knowledge, what do they say? White collar knowledge worker type jobs have far less employer demand. So what we are looking at is supply and demand issues, that there are more supply, there are more workers than there is demand for jobs in this area. And now we have dumped an additional 58,000 IT workers have entered unemployment as far as the unemployment numbers are tracked in January, and we know more came in February. We don't have some of those numbers yet, or if we do, it was beyond what I was looking at when I prepared this. So as unemployment numbers go up, as more and more people are getting laid off for whatever reason, we are flooding the market with unemployed people seeking jobs. So if you're looking for a job, if you've been looking for a job, or if you've been laid off from a job, that's perhaps, let's just say, one person going for, rather, 10 people going for one job. I'm just throwing that number out there. All of a sudden, now you're looking at 100 people going for that job. When you increase the demand, that sucks to be you, to be the person unemployed, the person seeking the job. This will also cause more people to seek unemployment benefits, all of these things, but also it has an effect on the economy because consumer confidence goes down. The more you see unemployment rising and the more people that are unemployed, what are they not going to do? They're not going to go out and spend money. For example, they're not going to go see Snow White, but then again, you shouldn't see Snow White anyways. But let's just say in general cinema, in general buying stuff. We are a society in America that we have far more wants than we have needs. But when the belt tightens, when you have less money, you are going to get rid of those wants. So many things are wants. We don't really need most of the things we have in America. You can spend less. It is very possible, and people will be doing that, and that can have an effect on the economy. Alrighty, what do we say? I think I already got the comments here. So that's what I'm talking about. So let me see. Oh, new Indeed job posting of software development, for instance, declined 8.5% in January from a year earlier, but they're showing signs of stabilizing after drastic job cuts in the tech sector in 2023. We have been having 2-3 years of unemployment in this area, and there's going to be more. There have been more. Another reason for January's tech job losses was that companies began implementing some intended spending cuts for the year. Yes. So layoffs have also continued at some large tech companies. I think I've said that. That's why we've seen such a rise in the unemployment numbers. Last month, Platform says it would cut 5% of its workforce in performance-based jobs cuts in the U.S. And on Wednesday, enterprise software giant Workday said it would cut about 8.5% of its workforce. Now, the elephant in the room, because I've been concerned about this, is Doge. We know, what is it, about 100,000 so far, and we're going to get into some of those numbers, have been dumped onto the unemployment market in the last month. and that many of those that took a buyout, I think the number is 70,000, they're going to be out of money in September. And we're going to talk about that. We also know that there was information sent out that at the VA, 80,000 jobs were going to be eliminated, cut by June. And even if there's reasons for it, and we'll argue about that for another day, that's not what I'm talking about here. That's a lot of people being thrown into unemployment in a very short amount of time. I'm not necessarily tech jobs, obviously, here. But this is something to be concerned about, in my humble opinion. The Nordporial Life Form is here. Teresa, I was recommended the Book of David. Have you watched? I haven't. I think you're talking about the House of David, because of course they're trying to make it all fancy. I know 2 people that have recommended it to me, so I'm going to try to watch it so that I can give you some information about it, because I was very curious. It showed up on my screen, and I'm like, is this something I want to watch? Maybe I'll give it a look. I'll watch the first episode and see. I'm always a little bit worried when not all the episodes are out at once, and so they can start off really good and then turn into something really horrendous later, especially when you're dealing with the Bible. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, look, it's DJ Play Nice waving at everyone. We love to wave at people here at Miss Martin Muses. Yes, Pips and AI or Aldan both like it. Okay. All right. Well, cool. Well, maybe I'll look into that. That might be a nice morning musings. But in any case, I love musing with all of you this morning. So we talked a little bit about the frustration last week where people say, oh my gosh, there's so many jobs. Quit being so lazy. Just don't be so. What did Laura Ingraham say? Go out and just get a real job if you're getting unemployed. It's like people are trying, but the supply is higher than the demand. And then there's some other things that make the demand a lot worse. We're going to get into it here. All right. This looks good. Wait a second. Tech companies are optimistic about hiring. Isn't that a good thing? Well, here's part of the issue. U.S. tech industry remains optimistic about hiring, with companies targeting average of nearly 300 open software engineering roles, representing a 12% year-over-year increase, the report found. We're 300. Let's look at those numbers that I talked about earlier. This is the key. The hiring landscape extends beyond domestic borders, with 81% of U.S. engineering leaders planning to hire abroad. Let's read that again. 81% of U.S. engineering leaders are planning to hire abroad. And they talk about the globalization and the offshoring of U.S. jobs will further intensify competition for available positions. Hello, everyone coming in. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses. Give a like, share, and a subscribe early and often, please. It's always good to see you. Additionally, in response to reduced headcounts from the previous year, there's been a notable uptick in contract hiring. 28% of U.S. leaders now prioritize outsourcing via contractors. This cost-saving incentive may lead businesses to prioritize contract hiring over full-time positions, which could reduce the number of full-time position openings in 2025. So we're talking about contract hires. Now, the thing about contract hires, very easy to hire and fire. And a lot of some of the Doge layoffs have been contract hires. For no reason whatsoever. Here's a question for you. How many H-1B visas are issued each year? There are 65,000 H-1B visas approved each year and an extra 20,000 for the cap. Typically, there are over 200,000 applicants each year, and those who apply go to a lottery system. So we're talking about 65,000 H-1B visas. That is people in these tech areas that will be coming to the United States to work, to take jobs. And if you get the visa, you have a job. So we're talking about 65,000 each year. And what's the 20,000? What's the additional 20,000? Whoops. Oh, I thought I had it here. Maybe I'll just say it verbally. You can look this up yourself. When you have 20,000 for the cap, that 20,000 is for people hired from higher institution learnings. So you're running your own business. You're going into these areas in college. 20,000 of those jobs will be going to individuals who originate from outside the country. Those jobs are gone. They're not available to unemployed Americans right now. So we're talking, what, 80,000. These are just numbers to consider. And then this is a little bit about Doge. This is from Fox Business. Again, please push back if this information is wrong or if there's things I need to know. We know that Doge is laying off thousands, and they might be doing more. While it is saving the U.S. taxpayer money, and I will admit, more like just like anybody else, that it is, on the other hand, it is also causing a lot more unemployed. So they're talking about whether cuts could push unemployment higher and create a headwind for the U.S. economy. So let's see. The administration extended buyout offers to federal workers shortly after taking office. We've talked about that's going to last for 8 months, and I think that's very generous, a lot of that. But just keep in mind that means that we're going to have more people on the job market. While various agencies have announced layoffs of probationary employees and placed some workers on administrative leave ahead of potential layoff. So probationary workers are people, I think, that have worked for less than 2 years at it, or it's 1 year. I don't know potentially how long that is, but that's, again, a lot of people being dumped onto the unemployment market, if that's a correct word for that, and administrative leave ahead of layoffs. So layoffs are happening, and it's not necessarily happening in areas where there's fraud or where there is, how do I say this, where there is nobody behind this job. So check this out. This number here, we estimate that about 100,000 federal workers have already been laid off or accepted the deferred buyout offered by the Trump administration. The approximately 75,000 workers who agreed to the deferred buyout are supposed to be paid through September, so their impact on the labor market will be delayed. So at this point, 25,000 federal workers have been laid off or put on administrative leave with layoff to follow, which is basically what they just said. And this it says, according to the article, due challenges for the U.S. economy in terms of labor market if large number of federal workers or contractors end up out of work and unable to find other jobs. And I just compared that to private sector layoffs that have been happening. Now, that is in IT, et cetera. I know that there are other areas, but just keep this in mind. I'm looking at numbers. Oh, I think my slides were out of order. That some displaced workers, according to Dante Antonio, could find private sector jobs. The magnitude and timing of further cutbacks will determine the further broader labor market starts to falter. And they're saying that these numbers will almost certainly grow in the coming weeks and months, and we'll start to see the impact of these layoffs first in unemployment insurance claims data, and later they will result in slower employment growth, payroll employment growth. Can federal workers actually work? Well, yes. You see, here's the thing about it. There are a lot of federal workers that are like, yeah, fine. This is BS. This is bureaucracy. But this means that people that are essentially paid by the federal government, it can be people that are, for example, working at the VA. It's people that are working a lot of the national parks, for example, that's one area that I think took a lot of people by surprise. It's like, wait a second, that is actually a practical job. You need somebody to look after these areas, and it's putting strain on the people that are already working there. The federal jobs, it also includes the FBI. I mean, I know that the FBI needs to be cleaned out, but they're still in the FBI, and it's still a federal job. The biggest risk is that the layoffs we have seen so far are just a tip of the iceberg. The magnitude and timing of future layoffs will determine whether the labor market can stay on the rail. We currently expect that the size of the federal workforce will shrink by about 400,000 throughout 2025 due to a combination of the ongoing hiring freeze, deferred resignations, and DOGE initiated layoffs. So we're going to see the federal workforce. So, total unemployment in the United States is 160 million, with 7 million unemployed. Also, about 5 million people change job every month. In that context, 300,000 federal jobs lost is not much. However, studies also show for every federal employee, there are 2 contractors. As a result, layoffs could potentially be closer to a million. And this is what we have to do when we're talking about contractors. That they've been using a lot more contractors, and those are not salaried workers. Any increase in layoffs will put jobless claims higher over the coming weeks, and such a rise in unemployment rate is likely to have consequences for rates, equities, and credit. Let's see. It says here, federal government has 3 million workers, excluding the military. Federal workers account for about 1.9% of U.S. payrolls. They said that the private sector should be able to absorb some of these workers, but not a lot. Yeah. All right, so that's just some numbers that I have that I put together to talk about where my concern is as far as that goes, and the effect it might have on the market, the effect it might have on everything, especially if you do get unemployed. It'll be very hard to find a job to replace it. And maybe this is a correction that needs to happen. I've heard several arguments from all different sides. It's just a concern of mine. Now, if all these people are being laid off, all these high numbers, and something is being done to absorb that, they said some of it might be absorbed, but what private sector jobs are there that are being made that people can take? I've already talked about the high number of H-1B visas. And I don't know if you recall that Musk got into a big to-do because he's very much in favor of that. So it's like, okay, what do you do if you're an American, you're 40 or higher, and suddenly you find yourself out of work? What's going to happen? These are things that we need to talk about, in my humble opinion, as a nation, and this is something that we need to do to make sure that it's all corrected. Yeah, Confederate. I see your point. I see your point there. Yeah. I think that some of the TikToks and stuff really hurt people. Influencers have problems. How do I say this? They ruin everything. Everything, I tell you. Because a lot of people think that it's real life. That these dorks who are going out saying, "Oh, look at me. I'm just sitting here eating smoothies all day. I'm not really working." It's like, shut up. That's obviously not the majority of people. We've also learned that some of these people, some of these influencers aren't even real. I forget who it was that it turned out it was a trad wife account. She was huge. Turned out she was lying about everything. I don't want to say that don't believe everything that you see on the internet, because a lot of things on the internet are good and informative. I think that a lot of it information that we got because X was a lot freer during the election that affected things. We were able to see news. I remember when that day in January when Trump was giving that speech, if you know what I mean, they we saw things that maybe we would never have seen, and that made the truth come out because immediately people were uploading things onto X and X was not taking it down. That there are many good things. Whenever news is breaking now, like for example, I used to go to Fox News or even CNN, for example, on breaking news. I would just try to find the nearest TV kind of news outlet. I don't do that anymore. I go to X when a story breaks. That's where the internet is good. Where the internet is not so good, in my humble opinion, is where people are manipulating you, people are messing with you, people are rage baiting, people are drama farming, etc., for money, and that it can skew the way that people view the world or even certain professions. People got to be careful. A lot of them are fake. Oh, wait, I'm going back. Okay. Norporeal Lifeform says influencers are not very smart. I'm going to push back slightly on that. They're very smart at what their goal is. And what is their goal? To get you to look, to get you to click, to get you to share. They're very, very good at it. But if I'm correct, I think where you're going with this Norporeal is, are they actually smart in their area of content? Are they actually knowledgeable people? That is questionable. Not all, of course. Not all. Norporeal says a lot of them are fake AF. We know that. Yeah. That's one thing I always say is be very, 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 very careful. Oh, yeah. Now I've got it here. People got to be careful. Yes, they do. And the reason why they need to be careful is especially when they're drama farming or when they're rage baiting. First of all, it can affect your mental health. Second of all, it may not even be real. When influencers start to fight, I have learned the hard way that most of the time that the arguments are fake. They will have a fake fight. They will especially find a fake fight in January. Never fails. So if you take sides, that'll come back to bite you. It will indeed. Sort Poop Scoober says, we never lie, but we are sometimes a bit short on telling the truth. Yes. I won't argue that. Yeah, no. Norporeal says, when people start preaching, I'm out. All I see is manipulation. Usually have something they're hiding. Yes. Now, when you say preaching, are you talking about religion or are you just talking in general preaching? I think that one way that you can tell if someone is authentic and whether they are not, let's just be honest. Does it change from week to week? Do their actions match their words? Like, I don't want drama. I'm out. And then the next thing you know, they make another video. Or I'm not going to engage with drama anymore on X. And then 10 minutes later, they post a drama post. Yeah. You know them by their deeds. Buddy is here. Buddy Hepburn, I think you find that over time that it is calculated with a certain scripted point of view and they can't really explain or expand on it when questioned real time. Mm-hmm. Yes. Now, people might argue that about me, but I hope that I'm pretty forthcoming that if I don't know what I'm talking about, I'll just say it. I'll just say it. I even said it earlier. It's like, hey, if I'm wrong on some of this, correct me. Yes. When you see people live and they're not entirely certain. Now, sometimes I will point this out. Sometimes you get deer in the headlights effect when you are on the live stream, especially when you're by yourself. Some of that happened to me on the St. Patrick's Day stream the other day, where you read something and you don't always quite comprehend it, or your mind goes blank. It happens. But in general, you can tell if somebody really knows what they're talking about. Norporeal Lifeform says, preaching hatred. Oh, yeah. Norporeal Lifeform says, like a certain political party telling you that this person is worse than an Austrian painter, or they want to take away your Social Security. Yeah. Oh, gosh, yes. Yes. And it is a religion. they make the Puritans look tolerant. They look like the Inquisition was nothing more than a post office. I mean, nothing is more intolerant, more dogmatic, more unforgiving, more backward than these individuals that you are referring to. And I think the best thing to do is to not listen to them. Believe it or not, I couldn't believe this. I saw this on the Gutfeld show. They were doing a segment, I guess, on some politician that was just being completely outrageous. And one of the panelists mused, mused, do you think they're doing this so that they'll get featured, like on your show? You know, never heard of this person, and all of a sudden they're being featured on one of the most major shows. Oh, maybe there's a little bit of truth in that. North Korea Life Friend says, or when others say bad stuff about another person, red flags. Correct. Yes. Especially other YouTubers or things. I've said that my rule is I will not tolerate that. Even if it's something I agree with, we will not talk about other YouTubers unless they're here to defend themselves. But even if they're here to defend themselves, I will discourage that. Because in general, it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not charitable. And there's been a lot of debate about, well, the other person does it, they haven't come and they're jerks, so I don't feel sorry for them. And I do sympathize with that. That's the story of my life. My life has been being the older brother and the prodigal son, that it's not fair. And that you do want to sometimes give as good as you get, but it's just not right. It's just not right. And it's not right across the board. It's not right, most importantly, for you, for what it does to you. I've seen people over the years, the more they do it, the more that they have to escalate it, and you see what it does to their soul. It's just not good. But it's also a red flag, Norporial, because guess why? If they'll do it about these other people, they'll do it to you. Norporial says, that's why there are a lot of violent people to my left. Oh. Norporial says, but Orange Rain bad. Yes. I mean, sometimes I think he is. Oh my gosh, everyone's going to hate me. Don't unsub. His imprudence is his Achilles heel. Sometimes he needs to STFU, and he doesn't. And it makes it very hard to defend him when he does that. But, come on. We've had politicians we've all disagreed with before. Why are people so hysterical? First of all, they're being whipped up into a frenzy. And the being whipped up is done deliberately by influencers from the left. And money, there's so much money behind all of these things that we would be astounded if we knew it. And we still don't. They call it the deep state, call it whatever you want to call it. But someone pointed out that some of these protests that are going on in New York, they've got really nice ready-made signs. Signs are not cheap. Someone is funding this and funding them well. Yes, says Norporio. What did you give up for Lent, he says. Well, I gave up the F-bomb, and I've really only broken it with my cat. Because when I'm on a stream and he messes with the computer, I've been doing pretty good. And once you make something into a habit, it kind of dies away. I've also been working on 100% cutting out anything that is like sweets and stuff. However, it was St. Patrick's Day. There were St. Patrick's Day cookies, etc. I know that it's the in thing to give up sugar, but there's a reason why it's the in thing to give up sugar, because in general, it's just not good for you, not good for your weight, not good for your metabolism, not good for all sorts of things. So that's what I'm working on. Sometimes the muzzle needs a suppressor. Yes, precisely, Snortopupus. And I think that I've been clear about some of the things that he says that I just really, really don't like. It's what I call firing out of turn. Firing out of turn. It's like we did elect you to do certain things. We didn't elect you to troll that you're going to take over sovereign territories from our closest allies. I didn't elect you for that. And I didn't elect you for the fallout from that. So knock it off. Imperial Life Force says Catholics are natural custards. Cool. I'm trying to cut out dairy and sweets. Yeah, I'm keeping dairy. Not good for asthma either. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't have asthma, but I never thought about that. Things. I give up giving up things, says Snortapoopas Gruber. So far, so good. Well done. Well done, Snortapoopas Gruber. That is one way to be successful. Though I've said it before that it's not necessarily a requirement that you give up something for Lent. The only quote unquote requirements are the Ash Wednesday and Good Friday fast and the meat on Fridays, that you don't eat meat on Fridays. Other than that, the rest of them are customs. You don't necessarily have to do it. So if you don't feel like you have to give up something for Lent, you don't. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something like food. As I said, I'm giving up like the F-bomb. Some people are saying I'm going to pray more or something, or maybe something positive, like I'm going to start exercising more. I'm going to walk more. Lent's good for you. Polar Bear gave up Lent for Lent. I love it. Yes. I remember when Pope Benedict XVI, when he resigned and it started on Ash Wednesday, everyone was like, for Lent, there was a meme for Lent, I give up. And I could definitely relate to that. No Prayer Life Form says, in Chicago, pepper and egg sandwich is a staple for Lent Fridays. Really? Really? Maybe because y'all don't have a lot of fish there, or at least traditionally, you did not have access to that. I really like the fish Fridays, and I think we should do it all the time, frankly. I think it's good for people. But the different restaurants and different fast food places that suddenly have fish sandwiches, they're so good. And I wish I had them more often. My gosh, just keep it up. I mean, McDonald's keeps their Filet-O-Fish. Why can't everybody else? I always go on a tour on Lent. Each Friday, I go to a different place that usually does not have fish sandwiches and get them. No Prayer Life Form says, the Italian beef place by my house has those, and owners have a portrait of Cardinal Francis George. Oh, yes, I remember him. We have plenty of fish, says No Prayer Life Form. I'm not the biggest fish person. I understand. I eat vegans on Friday. Well done. I had someone describe the self as I won't say that out loud, but probably YouTube will not give me trouble about it. But that is a slur, yeah, in the past. Oh, themselves, yeah. Sometimes we will do that, but yeah, it was a slur, and now I know it's a slur. Is my parents, growing up in the 1950s in the North, there was a lot of anti-Catholic prejudice, and my dad was like, "Oh yeah," kind of feeling a bit guilty, but it's like, okay, it's all right. It was a different time, and you didn't know better. There was a lot of prejudice, and that was one of them. It's a bit of a silly expression when you really think about it, but it was the intent behind it. Yeah, so sometimes self-deprecate. I can't say it. Ling, we will use that term. Or there are individuals that maybe don't understand it and don't understand the history behind that. Yeah, it was a thing. Everybody Google. Yeah. So, in any case, I'm really happy that the weather is getting better. I like a lot of sunshine. I like it hot, but not too hot. Let's see, what's the temperature supposed to be today? Oh, today it's actually not going to be as hot as it was yesterday. So, yay! I don't like to go out and be so hot that you can't even do anything, but it does help people to get out into the sunshine, get out into the air, and be a happy camper. Yeah. Well, right now my cat is not messing with my keyboard, but he's rubbing his face on the monitor. I guess that's what they do when they are marking their scents. So, yay. Your scent is on my computer. I hope you're happy. I can't even smell it. And there's no other animals here. So they're not going to care either. Oh boy. So how's everyone doing at work? Is work sucking? Is work good? Are you working? I mean, I'm kind of working. Sort of. Mostly. I'm a contractor. I'm a contractor, but a different kind of a one. And quite happy about it. I used to be a full-time teacher with a contract and never again. Never again. And usually not for the reasons that a lot of people say. Uh, It's the students, it's the violence. Rather, it's that no one does anything about it. If people are allowed to do certain things without consequences, they're going to escalate. And that's what we're seeing. Yep, gotta get some job notes done. There we go. No Prolio. Project engineer. Oh, holy cannoli. Okay, well done. Okay. Hope it's not in tech or Genie Mac. Oh, it's terrible. And when they lay off people that are 40 plus, then they deal with ageism with their jobs. Ageism exists. There's ways to get around it. Manufacturing. Oh, okay. All right. That should be that should be good. That should be safe. Oh boy. And maybe I'm throwing this out there. Not maybe. I am. Not to be completely uncharitable about the people that are being laid off on Doge. It is not always bad people. It's not always bad actors. We don't have that many. We have many, and a lot of things need to be cut out. But what's going on is not the right way to do it. I'll just say it. Dumping this many American jobs out on the market, and often without severance. And again, people that voted for Trump, they're getting let go. People that were in jobs that they didn't think were going to be cut because they kind of were essential. They weren't wasteful, are being cut. People that work hard are being cut. I think there was a bit of a misunderstanding, and I think encouraged by our powers that be to say that that was what was going to be happening with Doge. And in many cases it is, but in not all. Got to roll out. Everyone have an awesome day. Well, thank you, DJ Play Nice. Thank you for being here. Yeah, you can tell when I'm getting careful with my words. I do little pauses. I guess I shouldn't be careful. Why should I be careful? Well, I do want to be careful because I don't want to, hurt anyone's feelings, or I don't want to cause unnecessary strife. And that's not what I'm intending here. But we do have to look at things from a different point of view. And not all criticism is lefty criticism. I think we need to hold our own accountable, because if we don't, we'll see them fall into traps. I believe with all my heart that 2016, 2020, so many traps were laid for Trump, and he just walked right into every single one of them, including what happened on Epiphany. It was so lining up as a setup, and he should have just said, everyone go home. We'll do it online or something to that effect, because it really was a trap, and he walked into it. He went. It won't happen again. That's the good news. But I see little signs that some of the hubris, some of the arrogance is coming in, and they got to be careful. Because not only are they cunning, but they're also powerful. The individuals that are kind of working against what we've all been doing. All right. I mean, there's many positive things. I think that everyone is happy with the more secure border and showing how it really was kind of easy to take care of it. It wasn't something that was going to be difficult. Oh, boy. So, in any case, well, I've been looking at some of my old essays on Snow White, so I'm putting together a video about that. I hope that you'll enjoy that for my Friday video. Yeah, and again, I just like waking up and yapping with you all. I'm hoping maybe it helps you to yap this early in the morning. I hope you enjoyed what we did yesterday with what are they doing wrong? What are they doing wrong? I think tomorrow I'm going to talk about some of the books that are coming out that are pretty daggone good. There are a lot of really good fantasy books out there. I believe in this maybe goes back to the influencer thing that Norpoyo was saying, that sometimes influencers can give the impression that there are not good things being made. There are good things being made, even great things being made, but they're not highlighted. Because if you do a video about, well, look at what Raymond Feist is doing. Well, I do those. You won't get as many views as look at this wild, wacky, insane, crazy, and possibly perverted thing that this other author is doing or what they're doing in these comics. Like they're not focusing on the good comics because that doesn't get attention, but focusing on the bad will and maybe prop up their own personal business. Not knocking anyone because, hey, I know you got to make a buck, but I believe it can give an improper view of what is going on in entertainment. And the sad thing is, I see that it can influence people to not go and enjoy good stuff because they don't think it's out there. For a fact, there are so many things I didn't know existed just because it wasn't on my radar. And not everyone has time to sit around and sift through everything. So when people were telling me, people like Stieg were telling me, oh, you need to read the Dragonlance. Lady Toriel is saying, you need to read Dragonlance. You need to read the Dritz, Forgotten Realms, the Dark Elves stuff, the Dark Elves trilogy. Of course, Feist. Read Feist's books. You will love them. Absolutely love them. You got 25 books for crying out loud. Really good stuff. And of course, The Wheel of Time. If you haven't read The Wheel of Time, holy crud, you've got 14 bricks to look forward to. Snorpoo's saying have fun. Yes. So good stuff is coming out. And who is it? Terry Brooks. He come out with a new book. Raymond Feist, he's got a new trilogy going. Joe Abercrombie. If you're into comics, you should be reading the Titan, Conan the Barbarian, and they're coming out with a new series on Solomon Kane. Oh my gosh, read those. They're good. They're true to the lore. They're true to the spirit of Robert E. Howard, and they respect the source material. And how often do we see things that don't respect the source material? And so find that, support it. Or do other ways if you don't want to give it to certain companies, but that's a whole other argument. First of all, what kind of impact can we make? I don't know. It's not as clear. Also, what kind of message do we want to send? Some people do believe that if you buy the good stuff, that'll show people that this is what we want and they'll make more. But we also know that they rob Peter to pay Paul. There's a lot of things to be said about all of this kind of entertainment and what's the best way to consume it. In my humble opinion, the best way to consume it is how you personally choose to. I always give a caveat whenever it comes up and people are like, don't do this. I'm like, or do what you want to do. Don't be fooled. Sometimes it's don't consume this because the person might have an ulterior motive. Don't let anyone else be in charge of your happiness. That's maybe where I'm going with this. Even with your entertainment, don't give that power up to other people. Don't release that. You are in control of you. Recommend start your day with reading. Don't grab for your phone. Read something that takes you away. I try to read a chapter of The Wheel of Time before I get going. Or start your day off with me. Again, I've been enjoying getting to do this every morning at 8 o'clock. I don't know how long I'll be able to continue just because of life, but I just love it. I love people that come in. We have almost every day. We have a Dig Outlaw, we have Snort Poops Caber, Norporeal Life Form, or people that just pop in and say hi, or people that just come in and check in. Maybe people that just leave a like. Maybe that's a good way to start off the day. Maybe you learn something. Maybe we learn something from each other. Go to a concert, classical concert. Oh my gosh, you will not be disappointed. And if you're not familiar with the music, if you're saying, well, I don't know a lot about classical music, go and look to find when they're going to do something like Beethoven's Fifth. You'll know it. Everyone knows Beethoven's Fifth, even if we only just know the first few lines. That's a good way to start. Go to one where you at least know the piece. Don't go to some obscure weirdo thing, or even an obscure like Mozart concert. Like if you know it's not something that you know, go find that, and you will be really blessed. Or go to one of those where they show a movie and the orchestra plays. That is amazing. If you never had the opportunity to see that, do it. They do it with Lord of the Rings. They do it with Harry Potter. They do it with Jurassic Park. They do it with Star Wars. Most symphony orchestras will do it. And if you live in a major city, they will have a symphony orchestra. So look that up. That might be the best way to get you into the good kind of music that will uplift you. And I know it's not classical technically, but it kind of is. Sort of Poops Queer says, I start off each day waking up. It gets a little bit disappointing from there. Yes, well, humanity definitely is incredibly disappointing. I will grant you that. It does. It does. Life sucks sometimes. Well, I have this nice cup of coffee that I have, and I, of course, eat breakfast. I know there's thoughts about skipping breakfast and stuff. It's like, I'm not so sure about that. Unless you're on a specific plan, and I know people are. There's this whole periodic fasting thing for weight loss. I understand that. But you don't have to eat a lot. But when you get hangry, when your blood sugar goes down, that's not always good. I always have 2 eggs. That's a good way to start off the day. I give it 2 thumbs up, and I recommend it for everybody. And every now and then, give yourself a little treat. Give yourself a little present when it comes to your breakfast. Nothing wrong with pancakes now and then. Have some pancakes with strawberries on it. Oh my gosh, strawberries are so good. Fruit is so good. Start off your day with fruit and yogurt. Fruit is really, really healthy, especially things like blueberries. They got antioxidants in them. So yeah, go ahead and do that. You will not regret it. You will not regret it one bit. I guess what else? Don't eat a lot at nighttime. I think that's where a lot of people go astray. Try to eat dinner and then that's it. And the whole midnight snack or a snack before you go to bed, I'm not so sure about that. Because think about it, you're giving yourself calories and then you're going to sleep. So that's some things to do. And when your body feels good, you feel good. Give yourself a present though every day. It doesn't have to be food. It's got to be something that you want to do and something that makes you happy. At least one time a day, do something that's just for you. And I know for many people it's hard to do that because they've got so many people pulling at them in so many different directions. But just, insist. Damn it, for 15 minutes, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I want. Try as much to spend time with people in person. Online is great. I wouldn't have these acquaintances. I wouldn't have you all here if I didn't have it online. On the other hand, nurture around your community and make sure you're around good people. And if you can, if you're around a crap place, try to move somewhere else. That's my advice for the day. Oh, dear me. Alrighty, well, I'm going to go ahead and end this party. I enjoyed yapping with you all. I like starting off the day. We had Snorted Poopy Scooper, DJ Play Nice, the Norporeal Life Form, a Dega Outlaw. Let's see. A lot of people had popped in and out. Buddy Hepburn, thank you for being here. And if I missed anyone, DJ Playness, I think I said, and Soul Assassin. All of you that are watching on the replay, or all of you that are watching and lurking, I want to thank you for being here. This is your channel, if you will, as much as it is mine. I would be nothing without you all. So, let's see, coming up, yeah, I'm going to do something tomorrow. And if you want to suggest on X, especially, what kind of topics you might want me to cover for these musings, if you want me ahead of time, that's perfectly acceptable. For example, Steve, he was the one that gave me the idea of the things yesterday about the Wheel of Time actors and the Witcher actors. So if you have something like that, let me know. I always have veto power, though, for a variety of reasons, but I do appreciate it and get it from there. Take care, every human. Yes, please do. Please do. And have a great day, and be certain to be kind, generous, and empathetic where it is required.